The young fisherman discovered something strange while fishing at sea. No matter which direction he cast his net, he always pulled up the same golden conch. The conch could neither fill his stomach nor be sold for much money, so he had no choice but to throw it back into the sea again and again. Strangely, that entire day, he didn't catch a single fish. As night began to fall, the young man made up his mind. He decided to try his luck in deeper waters. Who would have thought that this time, he would still pull up the same golden conch? It seemed to have grown attached to him, impossible to get rid of. Though puzzled, the young man thought maybe it was fate, so he took it home and kept it in a jar of water. From that day on, strange things began to happen in his house. That evening, after catching nothing all day, he hung his fishing net on a branch and went to sleep hungry. In the middle of the night, he was awakened by a delicious aroma. When he opened the door, he was stunned to see the table filled with steaming hot food. He rubbed his eyes, thinking he must be dreaming. On the table were not only fish and meat, but even the rich smell of turtle soup. He wondered if he had entered the wrong house, but after taking another look, he realized it was indeed his own shabby hut. No one was around. Being an honest man, he assumed the food belonged to someone else, so he waited at the door all night, hoping its owner would come back for it. But no one did. Finally, starving and weak, he couldn't resist and ate every last bite. The next morning, as usual, the young man pushed his boat out to sea. After he left, the golden conch in the jar suddenly glowed with seven-colored light, and from the light stepped out a young woman. She watered the courtyard, lit the fire, cooked the meals, and cleaned the little hut until it sparkled. When she finished her work, she leaned by the window, listening quietly to the fisherman's distant song drifting back from the sea. The melody was bright and lively. It sounded like he had a good catch that day. The girl listened with a soft smile, but as the song grew nearer, she vanished without a trace. When the fisherman came ashore and saw smoke rising from his chimney, he was startled and hurried home, only to find the room empty once again. When he lifted the pot's lid, steaming hot food greeted him once more. That convinced him something supernatural was happening, so he decided to get to the bottom of it. The next day, he pretended to go fishing, but instead hid in the nearby forest, weaving fishing baskets, while keeping his eyes fixed on his hut. When he saw smoke rising again, he quietly set down his work and crept back home. The moment he opened the door, his eyes met those of a young woman. She froze in surprise, then blushed and covered her face with her sleeve. The young man asked who she was and where she came from, saying that if she had accidentally entered the wrong house, he would gladly escort her home. Hearing this, the young woman smiled softly, her voice as gentle as a flowing stream. She said, "Every day, I hear your fishing songs, and over time, I've grown fond of you. I wish to stay by your side to work and live together." The young man was shocked. It was clearly a confession of love. He hurriedly declined, saying his home was poor, and he didn't want to hold her back from a better future. But the conch maiden replied gently, "I don't envy wealth or long for grand mansions. I only wish for hard work and a sincere heart. Such a life would be as sweet as a ripe pineapple." The young man still hesitated, but when the girl began to weep softly behind her sleeve, his heart softened. At last, he nodded and said, "As long as you're not afraid of hardship, I'll stay with you." From that day on, they lived together in harmony. The young man went out to fish each day, while the conch maiden wove and cooked at home. In their spare time, they would stroll by the seaside, their bond growing deeper with each passing day. But soon, something would happen that would force them to part.